Hey guys, what's going on? It's Louie here, and welcome to another VOD review. Before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know about the new channel Discord called Pong Connect. This is where you guys can submit your videos for VOD reviews from now on. So I'm no longer going to be accepting them from my email. Instead, you can join this Discord server. The link will be in the description down below, and then you can just submit videos to the video submissions channel. And then I can leave feedback for them and also do my videos from here. There's also other channels in the server, so equipment discussion, questions and help, just general table tennis chat, a whole bunch of channels. And there's a lot of people joining, so it'll be a good time in here. And it'll also be the quickest way to reach out to me, ask me questions, get a really quick reply. So yeah, link to this Discord will be in the description, and hope to see you guys there. You guys probably remember Izo from one of my earlier videos, and he sent me 2 matches, and this is the second match he sent me, and it's the one that I'm going to be taking a look at today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Right idea on the serve return, just a little bit rushed. Want a little bit more spin on that shot. Elbow is coming up on the shot. Make sure when you play a forehand, when you start to where you finish, you should be able to draw a straight line between those 2 points. And you'll notice on that shot, you kind of started here, and instead of directly bringing your paddle to your right eyebrow, it kind of went in a semicircle like this. The shape kind of broke down, and you were trying to almost start on the back of the ball and hook around to the top of the ball to bring it onto the table instead of just driving through it, which is why you end up kind of lifting it out. You have that semicircle action instead of a straight shot. Need to finish your form just a little bit more there. And again, a little bit rushed. You can let that ball bounce, let it come out, and just play with heavy topspin. Right idea, and I think I touched on this before. So at this level, so you served underspin, you got the long push to your backhand, and you pushed it back. And even though there's technically nothing wrong with that shot, and even though you may be under some pressure right now, you're playing a league match, you want to try and get in the habit, even if you initially miss every single one, get in the habit of always going for that backhand loop on the long ball. Because especially as a left-handed player, when you push that ball cross court, you're going straight into a right-handed player's forehand, and a good player is really going to punish that. And so as a lefty, you need to be able to develop a killer backhand to the point where they're scared to push long to your backhand. If they push long there, you can just put the point away. Rushing a little bit on the serve still. Make sure you let that ball bounce. Just watch the spin. And yeah, you haven't returned a single one. All he's doing is mixing. It's always a little bit of side spin. Sometimes it's a little bit of side under. Sometimes it's a little bit of side top. But you don't need to go for so much. If it's side top, you can basically just meet the ball to the paddle and drive forward. It's almost no spin at all. Almost like a block, just with a little bit more power if you're not comfortable looping it. And then when it's underspin, you just need to let the ball bounce. If it comes long, you can slowly spin up. If it's short, then you can just push. And again, it doesn't need to be too much. You just want to, at the point right now where you're not even returning the serve, try to just keep it on the table. See what he's going to do with your return. Good serve variation. Very deep, and you gave your opponent a very difficult time. Nice, and you double up on it. That's smart. Something I noticed, and I just want to point this out to all my viewers, there's a one of the biggest differences I see between, I guess, the Asian games that I watch and the European style games that I watch is there's so much more emphasis on the serves and the serve return in the European games, whereas the rallies are always much longer, and there's more focus on the rallies in the Asian games, but the serves are not as tricky. It's just something I kind of noticed, and you guys probably notice it as well. There we go. It's a good return. That one came to your backhand, and you kind of just drove it forwards pretty solid, almost like a block, and you just added some power after you met the ball to the paddle. And that's the exact same way you want to treat that serve when it comes to your forehand. Just misreading how much underspin's on that ball. If you're going to push that, you need to have a more open angle, but again, it's long, so you can also loop that ball, just spin it up. You got the lucky ball there, but again, you got a long push to your backhand. At the very least, if you know it's coming there, you should try to step around and play a forehand loop, but I'm seeing a lot of long pushes to the backhand, long serves to the backhand, where you're kind of playing a little bit passive and they could be hit. There's another one. Nice forehand loop though. Good spin, deep on the table. That's pretty much a perfect shot. Again, there's nothing technically wrong with those shots. You won the point. They were decent quality, but you still should be looping those balls, especially against higher level players. They're going to kill that ball past you the second you push long. So you want to try and get in the habit of always going for those shots. Some arguments about the score or something? I don't know. And it's worth pointing out, anytime you get into an argument with another player, especially if you have coaches there with you, teammates with you, let them do the arguing for you. And you want to just make sure you stay focused on the match. I've seen a lot of players, like, let's say one player is much better than the other player, but then they end up in an argument and they lose anyway just because they lose all their focus. So important that no matter what's going on, you stay focused on the game, your strategy, what you're trying to do, and how you're going to execute it. It's so easy to lose your focus in these types of situations. It's much better return. And right idea. Always go for that shot. Perfect. You look a little bit more composed on the serve returns now. So it looks like it was just kind of a mental thing. Initially starting the match, maybe a little bit nervous. Yeah, serve is just a little bit too long. That's a very dangerous spot to put the serve. You either want to serve... there's kind of three places you can serve. You either want to serve short to where it's going to bounce at least twice, he can't hit. You want to serve extremely long to where he's jammed and kind of under pressure. Or you want to serve half long where the ball just barely comes long and he has to spin up. But the worst place you can serve is just kind of long, where the first bounce is here, the second bounce is here, and the third bounce is just here sitting for your opponent to loop. It's almost a free point. So make sure you are always aware of exactly how long you want your serve to be before you do it. Another good serve. And so much of this match right now is just serve and serve return. A little bit of a lucky break there. Right idea. Even though you're missing that shot, I would keep going for it. Never miss one or two loops and then just decide that you're done looping for the game. That's exactly the shot you want to go for. Just make sure you're always spinning and focus on keeping that ball as deep as you can onto the table. If you are continuing to miss in the net, just finish your form a little bit more and you'll get even more topspin. Careful, that serve is coming to the exact same spot where he ripped it last time, where it's like not really short, not really super long, it's just kind of sitting there. That's better. Yeah, a little bit of a lucky break. nothing you can do about those. But looks like you were ready to loop, so strategy was right. Don't let the fact that he's won a few points in a row get to you. You gotta keep going. Yeah, every time, I've seen this a couple times, every time you get kind of that underspin ball to your backhand, you're really cutting down on it, almost straight down. And maybe it's because you're trying to make it extremely heavy, but he's got so much underspin on that ball that your push needs to just be more forwards. And to make your push heavy, you need to scoop under the ball instead of scooping the back of the ball. So almost think of it as shoveling the ball instead of cutting down on the ball, because otherwise what happens is kind of what happened there, where you cut down on an underspin ball and it goes straight into the net. It's the equivalent of spinning up on a heavy topspin ball. It's just going to increase the direction the ball's already going, and you kind of want to avoid those types of mistakes. It looks like that was the first game. Some overall thoughts on the game. It really did just look like a lot of serve and serve return. There was maybe like 2 or 3 rallies, if that. I don't think there was a single rally that went more than 5 shots, maybe. But you just need to make sure you're letting the ball bounce on these serve returns, taking your time, stay composed. And then aside from that, just mentally be prepared to loop anytime the ball comes to your backhand, or be prepared to step around, because if you can develop that shot, you're going to be in like a whole new class of player. Like you'll be a completely different level. You'll go through players that push along to your backhand in one shot. A little bit of a trick serve. Careful though, if that serve does land, it's coming right into his wheelhouse. Yeah. Rushing again on the push. Let the ball bounce. Make sure also when you're playing these short pushes, or just pushes in general, make sure you're relaxed. If you're all tense and like basically death gripping your paddle, you're gonna have less feeling, and it's gonna be really easy to dump these balls into the net. You need to be holding the paddle so loose that someone could come up to you and just take the paddle out of your hand. You have to have soft wrist, soft hand, and trust your feeling to allow you to kind of play these touch shots. But yeah, make sure you're letting the ball bounce. Right idea. Glad to see you're still playing aggressive on those long serves. Rushing again. And also kind of late. So the shot was rushed because your decision was late. So you decided to loop and recognized that that ball was long after it already kind of come onto your side. So the whole shot ended up rushed. You didn't finish your form enough. It dropped into the net. Make sure that you're watching like a hawk on his serve. You should have seen that that ball was coming long kind of as he was making contact. As I'll tell you where I see it. I see it there. When his first bounce comes right by his side of the table and his contact is flat and fast, I already know that that ball is coming long and I'm ready to loop kind of right here. And you're not ready, not ready, not ready until right here. The ball's almost at your side of the table and you still haven't dropped your paddle and gotten ready to loop yet. And so you have to kind of do everything at once. It's rushed, it goes into the net. So just make sure you're always watching, and you should be able to see that much, much earlier. Right idea, that's a good miss. Still rushing a little bit. Seems like you're almost swinging, excuse me. Seems like you're almost swinging for 110% power on some of these forehands. And you can slow it down to 80%. It's called controlled aggression. You want to play aggressive and you want to be playing your shots, your loops, but that doesn't mean swinging 5,000% power every time. You can play aggressive with 80% power, and the effect is going to be the same. If you loop with 100% power, what's your opponent going to do? They're going to try and block. If you loop with 80% power, they're still going to try and block. It's not like because you're looping at 80% power, they're suddenly going to counter loop your shots and be this whole different player. So you can play your same shots a little bit safer, a little bit more under control, more composed, and it's going to have the exact same effect. Nice. And strategically, because you prefer your forehand right now, I haven't seen you go for a single backhand loop. You should be serving almost everything to the left-hand quadrant of the table. By serving here, you give your opponent a much easier shot to play into your backhand, and you're clearly more uncomfortable there. So even though it'll be more predictable, just to play to your own style, most of your serves should be kind of where my mouse is right now. And then most of the time you're going to get a backhand push either to the middle or to your forehand, and only occasionally have to deal with the backhand loop. Same thing, rushing, and again, you recognized it late. You should be setting up for that loop a little bit earlier, finish your form a little bit more, and then slow down. Controlled aggression, 80% power. That was a different serve, and that's, I think, like the second or third time I've seen that. When he does the top side spin one, your elbow comes up, and you're looping it almost like it's underspin until you realize it's topspin, so you have to kind of hook your arm. It makes a semicircle instead of a straight line, and then it misses out. So you have two options. If you aren't comfortable looping it, just like what you did on the backhand, just meet the ball to the paddle, drive it forwards with some speed and some quality, almost like a fast block. Or if you're going to loop it, your arm needs to move in a straight line from start to finish, and you need to just hit the top of the ball instead of hitting the back of the ball and trying to wrap your paddle around the top of the ball. So yeah, the shot just either way needs to be more forwards, and the racketing will need to be more closed. That comes with recognizing the spin earlier, so you should be recognizing the spin as he's making contact with it, and recognizing where the ball goes before it crosses the net. If you're recognizing where the ball is after it comes to the net, you're just reacting, you're too late, and you're not going to have time to play the shots that you want. A little bit risky on the serve, you're relying on his mistakes, but if he has trouble with it, then you should keep exploiting it. Going for a little bit too much. Problem with relying on serves this much is you haven't really given yourself a chance to play your game. So your serves are good, but at the same time it's all basically, can he return my serves? And I haven't seen you go for too many kind of bread and butter attacks. So I haven't seen just a basic, not he'll probably return it, but just like a simple short underspin serve to this corner. He pushes long cross court, you give yourself the chance to attack, you win the point. And 80% of your serves should be kind of to set up your bread and butter third ball attack. Because that's where your game really should be. And then 20% of your serves should be that extra, okay, I'm going to challenge him, do something different. So 20% of the time, serve long to the forehand, see if he's making mistakes. Serve fast down the line, and see if he pops the ball up and gives you a free smash. But you don't want to go for that every time. There has to be a balance. And again, 80% of the time you should be, at the moment, I would say serving to this corner to give yourself the chance for the forehand loop. Since right here, he's giving you this cross-court ball to your backhand, and then you're being forced to either step around or loop your backhand, both of which seem a little bit more uncomfortable. Better return. At least you got into the rally there. I think because that was the first one you had returned well, you were a little bit surprised by your own shot, so when it came back you weren't ready to keep looping. But you always want to expect your shot to land, and as a rule of thumb, against almost all players, if you're in control of the point, so you looped first, he's blocking, you're in control, go with the mentality of expect cross court and then hit down the line. So you looped that ball kind of cross court, it came back to your forehand, back the way it came, and then you weren't really ready to keep looping. But if you had just recovered, been ready to keep looping, you could have played that next ball down the line with a little bit more power, and you would have won the point easily. Cheating a little bit on the serve, and again, you're just recognizing where it comes late. Make sure you're watching instead of reacting. A lot of the time right now, you're kind of just reacting to where the ball is once it's on your side, instead of knowing where it's going based on his body language. A lot of missed serves from both of you guys right now. You're both trying to just win the point outright on the serves. And that's what happens when you rely on the serves too much. You're putting so much pressure on your own serve that you start to make these types of mistakes. Right idea. I still haven't seen enough serves here, so on the step around though, I will point it out. You came across your body a little bit too much because you didn't step around enough, so you ended up jamming yourself. Where was it? This was right here. So you can see you already look extremely jammed on this shot, and this should be, if you're setting up for the step around, another bread and butter. You can see your whole body's kind of twisted and a little bit off balance just because you didn't step quite enough, and you're leaning backwards as well. So if you had stepped just like half an inch more to the side and maybe a little bit further back, you would have been able to keep your chest forwards, stay on your toes, and have just everything going forwards, not across your body, and the shot would have been a little bit more stable. Looks like you missed the serve as well on the next one. Again, you're both putting too much pressure on your own serves, and I'd love to see just more, especially when it's close like this, just going for bread and butter attacks. Going for simple short serve, giving yourself the long push, and then just looping. But yeah, it looks like that is 2-0. And based on the length of the video, I think actually you mentioned it in the email, you lose this one 3-0. But let's see how you played in the third game. It's better to lose playing the way you want to play than to win playing poorly. Yeah, another mistake on the half-long serve to your forehand. That one you were kind of stepping out as you were playing it. Make sure you play before you move. So finish your loop, make sure that shot has landed, and then step out and be ready for the next ball. You've had that combination a few times where you do push the long backhand and then the next push comes to your forehand and you get the free loop. Since it's working in this situation, I would try to go for that more. And again, that's kind of just like a bread and butter thing. Your serve wasn't anything crazy, it just kind of did the job. But again, you got that first long push to your backhand, and really that ball needs to be looped. Same thing. And then by not looping that ball, next one comes and you're putting so much pressure on your forehand to step around. It's just a little bit uncomfortable. Again, I haven't seen enough serves at all to this part of the table. I guarantee if you just did one simple short serve right here, you'd probably get exactly what you were looking for on the forehand. Yeah, again, rushing so much on that serve return. You almost played that before it even bounced. You need to let it bounce just a little bit longer. Same thing, exact same mistake. Yeah, rushing. That might even be coming long. It's hard to tell from that angle, but it looks like if you had let that bounce all the way, it might have come out to the side and you would have had a chance to loop. But again, you need to be watching him as he's serving, not just reacting to where the ball comes, but knowing where it's going to go before he even makes contact. Same mistake on the forehand that I saw a little bit earlier. Instead of looping kind of in a just straight line, your elbow kind of went in a semicircle and you tried to hit the back of the ball and wrap around. That one, since it's heavier underspin, you want to hit the back of the ball but then just continue in that direction instead of wrapping around, because that's going to make the shot less stable. But then also you're a little bit late, again, recognizing where it's going to come. You need to see that a little bit earlier and you'll be able to set up earlier. Too much sideways movement. Again, it's like you're going for a lot on that serve return. It's kind of the same concept as with the serves. You're trying to win the point with like super heavy pushes on the serve return or like swiping to the side. And really you could just set up for the same bread and butter that you could set up for on your serve. So why not extremely heavy, not the highest quality, but just push a ball half long or short, to this part of the table, he's almost certainly going to push back to you and you're going to get a free third ball. Or if you want to step around, why don't you just give him a really simple push right here. He's probably going to push back to this corner, you're going to get a chance to step around. But instead you're like swiping to the side, cutting down really heavy, going for crazy shots that you don't always need to go for. You should go for shots that set up your game instead of trying to win the point right away. It's a much better serve return. You let that bounce a little bit more. Then on the loop you were kind of falling away from the table. Paddle was going up instead of forwards. Yeah, need to finish your form a little bit more. A little bit too small on the loop. Start a little bit lower, recognize it earlier. Finish a little bit higher. Yeah, risky serve, so you're like, I know you're probably hoping for the pop-up there. You serve long topspin to the backhand and you're hoping he just pushes high and gives you a smash, but he seems like a pretty solid player and he returns that kind of quick to you and you're not ready to continue the rally. When you serve topspin long, you can't be ready for the pop-up. It's nice if they pop up, but you have to serve topspin and then basically be ready for a war. He's going to hit that ball. You have to assume that he's going to give you the best possible return that could be given on that serve. And then if you're going to play like that, you have to be ready to counter loop, which is why it's such a risky game to go for these types of serves so much. You just need more bread and butter serves, simple underspin. Short, he's going to give you a long push, try to loop. And then if you're missing all your loops, you know what you need to work on in training, which is the third ball attacks. So rushed on the serve return again. Playing before the ball has even bounced. His serve popped up a little bit. Pretty free point right there. Again, you look a little bit uncomfortable. These serve returns. Yeah, same thing. So overall, and now I'm on the random daily motion recommend. Overall, you have a lot of things in your game that are good. So the serves are very good. Your loop when it connects is very good. It's spinny, it's high quality, but you just need to simplify some parts of your game. Because a player like this is not doing anything too special to win points. He has some tricky serves, but you can just return them simply, get yourself into the rallies, give yourself a chance to loop, and let yourself play your A game, because you almost didn't let yourself play because you were putting so much pressure on your serves and your serve returns to do everything for you. But yeah, aside from that, in practice, I would love to see you develop a backhand loop that is basically automatic. I mean, if you get a long push to your forehand, you're making some mistakes, but the fact that you go for the forehand loop is automatic. You would never take a long push to your forehand and decide to push that back. But on the backhand, you get a long push and you push it back for some reason, and it needs to be the same. Long push to your backhand, automatic, go for that loop, or at the very least, automatic step around and go for that forehand loop, so that you're putting different type of pressure on your opponent instead of just with the serves and the serve return. But yeah, overall not bad. Keep working hard, keep practicing. You can definitely improve a lot from where you are now. Definitely your team can rank up and get to the higher divisions in your league. But that's going to do it for this VOD review. Thank you guys so much for watching. And again, if you want to submit a video for me to take a look at, then join the Discord, which will be in the link in the description below. That's where I will be accepting video submissions from now on. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Adios.